not that subtle of a guy. So my wife tells me. Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to Pretty Good Cooking.
Pretty good.
Tonight on the show we're going to teach you how to make an Indian dish called Aloo Gobi. Aloo Gobi gets its names from the primary components. Aloo being potato and gobi being cauliflower. And we're making this tonight because I bought this head of cauliflower on sale, and this $2 buy is kind of why we're making this tonight. I've been cooking a lot of Indian food recently, and it's partially because I upgraded a lot of my spices. And by upgraded, I mean I finally got around to replacing old stale ones. So now that my spices are fresh, this is all I want to eat all the time. So that's what we're doing tonight. So I'm peeling the base of the cauliflower. You could skip this step if you want, but you're gonna have to deal with it one way or the other eventually.
How are you feeling today, Phil?
I'm feeling pretty good today. Also, I got this cider. This is a zappy cider. So how you work with cauliflower, it's up to you. It's up to you. Honestly, I have not worked with a ton of cauliflower. I didn't like it for a long time. I definitely did not eat it growing up. We never had cauliflower. So the only context I knew of cauliflower was like on a shitty veggie tray. And you know, that's not the best way to enjoy cauliflower anyways. But I do like it now. It's a fairly neutral vegetable, I would say. But for our purposes today, we're gonna break this down. I'm gonna start with half the cauliflower. And you can chop it up or break it up however you see fit. Most of the time, you can get a lot of the florets off of the main core, like so, and then kind of break them down from there. But essentially what I'm trying to do is break this cauliflower into bite-sized pieces. My cauliflower head was fairly large, and what I want to show you what I'm doing for this particular recipe is after breaking up some of these pieces, I want to get an idea of how it looks in the pan that I'm going to fry them in. So that's about a half head of my large cauliflower. When I go to fry it, that's going to take up most of the pan, and I also got to work some potatoes in there. So I think that's good, but I ain't going to do no more cauliflower than that. Oh, I didn't think through this part. Did not think through that part. That's no problem. All right, so that's my cauliflower. All right, same deal for our potatoes. You don't need a lot of potatoes for this. That's probably a good idea to wash them real quick. You know, potatoes come out of the ground. You can cube or slice potatoes. I literally just stabbed myself in the hand with a knife. No blood. It's fine. I'm more familiar with this as it being cubed, but the recipe I'm vaguely following sliced them, and I kind of think that'll be nice. So I'm just gonna slice the potatoes. So I'm chopping them in half. These are Yukon Golds. And when I think about, you know, the context of this dish where you're kind of like frying up these veggies, one of the things that can be challenging is to get the cauliflower and the potato to cook at a consistent rate. So you want to cook it, but you don't want it to be soggy. And I'll make no guarantees because, you know, odds are this could easily be soggy. I've not made it before. But my logic is that slicing the potatoes will make them cook at a similar rate to the cauliflower. Because a big chunk of potato is going to take longer to cook than cauliflower. All right. Interestingly enough, this particular recipe that I'm loosely following suggests frying par frying these basically, which means you're partially cooking them. And what that can do is, one, it's easier to get some nice like brown spots, some roasty toasty spots on your vegetables before you mix it with the spice blend and the masala. So that's what we're gonna do. So I've got my pan here with my cauliflower shits still hanging out in there, having a good time. Today we are gonna make this recipe vegan by using coconut oil, but you can certainly use ghee, which is what I used in the dal. So it's not like we're eating vegan tonight. Don't get excited, vegans. But you can use whatever oil you want. By the way, don't hold back on the oil for this first process, particularly because you're eating healthy otherwise, and you know, the oil is how you make this taste good. Otherwise, you're gonna have some dry ass aloo gobi, which I don't think anybody wants that. Nobody. Our coconut oil melted to medium heat. Oh man, that smells good. Coconut oil just smells good, by the way. It smells like a tropical vacation. All right. We'll just get there and these in here, we'll get them frying. And conveniently, we freed up a bowl for potatoes. Wow. So we're gonna do cauli for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll add in the potatoes. And in the meantime, we'll start working on some of the ingredients for the masala. So I've got some garlic here. As I have been making a lot of Indian food recently, I feel like almost every recipe is the same. And I have to wonder if there are like subtleties that I just don't appreciate. Which is probably true because, you know, I'm used to kind of like glancing over the recommended ingredient amounts. But so many recipes are just masala this, masala that, and it's always the same ingredients. It always tastes great, but I just wonder if there's some subtlety that I'm missing. Just totally, not just possible, it's probable. I'm not that subtle of a guy. So my wife tells me. Alright, there's our garlic. Keeping an eye on the cauliflower. Probably could have let that pan heat up more, but that's fine. Okay, we will also need a tomato. And this is a greenhouse tomato. It is not a high quality tomato by any means, but I personally find that these are great as cooking tomatoes. One, because they're really easy to chop. Two, because, you know, when you cook down a tomato, it kind of just tastes like a cooked tomato, you know? So like, you don't need anything too crazy fancy. But the way I like to do these is to chop them into slices like so, and like so. And then I throw the ends to the side, and it allows me like a fairly easy access to slicing it up like this. Just have a nice chopped tomato. There's a few brown spots. That's what you want. I think there's not chili in this. Yeah, no hot pepper. I thought there would be. I guess that's a variation. Whoop-de-doo. Okay, it's been just 2 or 3 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. We get our potatoes in there. Pan's already looking crowded, but to me that just looks like a pan that's, you know, something I'm cooking. Very normal, very normal. So we'll keep sauteing. This will be about 7 or 8 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes. And if you overload the pan like I did, that's okay. It's all right. Just, you're gonna have to cook things a little longer. But I think this is gonna be some tasty food. I mean, if you're a person who likes vegetables, right now, your reaction probably is like, man, why even add anything? Look, potatoes and cauliflower, I'm excited. That's kind of how I feel right now. But then we're gonna add some good, it's gonna taste great. We'll be back in a few. I'm just gonna try to par cook these a little bit. I think this recipe calls for onion, and I'm gonna go get an onion. I totally forgot about that. I forgot there's onion in this dish, which, you know, that's a dumb thing to forget. This onion I'm chopping into 2 halves of 1 onion. You are going to use a whole one today because it wouldn't be Indian food if it didn't have onion. Is there any Indian food that does not have onions? Let me just direct that to the viewers. And I say that with love in my heart. I love onions. And like pretty much all Indian food too, but like I can't think of anything that doesn't have onions. Except Kevin's Tadka dal didn't have no onions. That was weird. Alright, so I'm satisfied with the degree of par cooking that we got. Not everything's perfect, but you can see we got some nice char on the cauliflower in particular. Some of the potatoes fairly brown. Remember, that's just the first step. You're just trying to get a little extra flavor going there. So we will carefully, having learned our lesson the first time I dumped stuff out of the pan, transfer this to a bowl where it'll hang out. All right, now in this same nonstick, which by the way, this is brand new nonstick. Look, it's like there was never anything there at all. How crazy is that? Get some more oil going, which I'm having a hard time getting off the motherfucking spoon. We'll let that melt for a second. So once the oil is melted, the pan is hot. It won't take very long. Oh. I never turned it back on. We'll give that just a second. We are going to start with some cumin seeds for our masala. You can use a pretty healthy amount. Pan's pretty hot, so I'll just go ahead and throw them in. And we'll mix that with the oil. And as you fry the seeds, this is kind of a lot of seeds, but personally I like to go heavy on the cumin seeds when frying because they just taste really f***ing good. Give that a quick fry. And basically we just want to wait until they pop a little bit. Not crazy popping, but just you hear a couple pops. It smells so good. Man, there's nothing like fresh fried cumin. Nothing like it. So I'm happy with that, so I'm going to go ahead and throw in my onion. And I personally, and a lot of the masalas that I work with, I like to let the onions cook low and slow. But I'm not doing that today because this recipe is just like, you know, basically just sweat your onions. So we're just going to fry them up. And if at any point things are looking dry, you can always add a little bit more oil. But we're going to cook these a little faster than I personally normally would. Probably like 2 or 3 minutes on those onions until they become dunnies. All right, so here's our onions. You definitely could fry these till the cows come home. You could really let them break down. Their big recipe said like 2 minutes. We probably let it go 5-10 minutes. All right, here's tomato and garlic that we chopped. I showed you that, right? Yeah, we were all there for that. If you have ginger garlic paste, you can certainly use that. Today I'm using chopped garlic and then some ginger paste. So we will saute this all together and let it break down. Now my immediate thought is that all this food's not gonna fit in the pan. So if that's the case, we'll just have to figure it out. But let's just keep sauteing while we still have room in the pan. I think it's gonna be fine, John. And also I think it's gonna be fine, viewers. It's fine. Back in a few, to sauteing these. Okay, at this point, let's add some spices to the masala. So I've got turmeric. Go ahead and do a once over like that. Pretty heavy on the coriander powder. A lot of this particular type of food, the prominent spices will be that cumin and coriander powder. It's hard to breathe. This is Kashmiri red chili powder. You're gonna do this to taste, and it's gonna have a vibrant red color. And then we will add some Amchur, which is dried mango powder, which adds a little bit of a sour note, not too terribly much of that. And we'll continue our saute. You can see that our veggies are starting to, kind of break down, stick down, and that's what you want out of your masala. So we'll go ahead and add our potatoes and cauliflower back, like so. And this is where all the shit goes out the window because my pan is very crowded, which is, that's on me. I got greedy with how much food I wanted to cook. But essentially we're gonna cook these down in the masala for a little bit. If at any point your aloo gobi is sticking to the pan, then the odds are that you are not using a non-stick, but you can add just a little bit of water. And like when I say a little bit, it's like a spoon of water. You don't want it to be soggy because that'll ruin everything. You also can, if you choose, cook this covered and the steam will kind of cook down the vegetables. But as I was just saying, like it's going to be an inferior product. It's very likely that you could overcook it that way. So just bear that in mind. Bear that in mind. You don't want a soggy aloo gobi. Nobody wants that. At a certain point, you can also salt this, but salting will draw water out, which could also promote sogginess. So let's just let it saute for a while. Fry it up in the masala. Meanwhile, while that's cooking, you can prepare what is the final thing that we'll throw in there, which will be some cilantro. Again, because we're being fairly loose with this recipe, the amount that you add is going to be somewhat contingent on how much you like cilantro. But as for me and my house, we really like cilantro, so we'll add quite a bit. And cilantro is something you don't really want to cook. Loses the flavor when you cook it, so we'll just throw it in at the end. The recipe I'm vaguely following says to cook it for a couple minutes. I say no, not this time. And when I say not this time, I'm channeling Jonathan Frakes from Fact or Fiction Beyond Belief, where he's like, did that really happen? No, not this time. We got you. Okay, so we're coming along. This food is looking awesome, but what I want to specifically point out, my cauliflower is looking close to done. My potatoes, not so much. So I might actually cover this briefly to steam it, and I am going to go ahead and salt it. Big hefty amount of salt. I like a lot of salt on my food in general. The amount of salt you add is up to you. Because there's so much spice in the food, you might not really need to salt it all that much, but I find that spice and salt goes well together. And I think I am going to briefly cover this just to see if I can steam those potatoes for a short period of time. The problem is I don't actually have a lid that's big enough. So we'll just do that and hope for the best.
Is that resting on top of the food?
It's literally on top of the food. So we'll give that just a couple minutes covered in the hopes of it steaming. I don't know if it'll work or not, but no steam's coming out, so I feel pretty okay about it. Otherwise, we'll just keep frying it and hopefully eventually it cooks. We'll be back soon. I finished my drink, by the way. Okay, our aloo gobi is looking good to me, and I can tell because I can pierce the various potatoes and they feel done. So at this point, we will go ahead and turn off the heat. Then we'll take our big pile of cilantro and go ahead and throw it over the top. And after that, we'll give it one last toss to distribute that fresh flavor. And if you don't think this looks delicious, you got the big dump, because it does. And we'll go ahead and plate that by transferring it to a bowl carefully so as not to lose our hard cooked food. And there you have it, aloo gobi. Looks bitchin'. Let's try this food. Let's start with the cauliflower. We didn't overcook it. It's got that wonderful spice flavor. Damn, that is good. We didn't even really put anything that spicy, but that red chili powder. That was good too. Man, this is great. Really, really good. Make this. Or, if you got a better recipe for aloo gobi, make that. Because it would be better, right? So we managed to like fry the outside without overcooking the vegetables. So texturally, it's nice. They have like a little bit of a bite to them, but the spices are very warm. You can really taste, you know, the turmeric and the chili. It's awesome. I mean, it's just a really, really good, warm tasting Indian spice blend. It's not overly complicated either. I think most people would find this very delicious. Something that was surprising for me with this is that the coconut oil flavor actually came through. Even at the end, you can kind of taste the coconut notes. And it works very well with the dish, but if you don't like the taste of coconut, maybe use something else. But yeah, that's how we did it. We'll see you next time. I'm gonna eat this.